So crazy world we're living in, reaching out to understand kind of how are you coping through all this?
It is crazy. In fact, I would argue it's unprecedented. I don't think I remember a time like this. Obviously, I've been an analyst a long time. I've been working a long time. And so I remember other incidents like 9/11 and things like that, where people did work from home for a short period of time. But I don't remember a situation like this where it looks like we're going to be working home for a long period of time. How am I doing? I think I'm coping.
Yeah.
For me, I've been working from home a long time, so it's not a whole lot different. What's different though is a lot of the conferences and things like that I used to go to have been converted to virtual events, and so the use of platforms like this and video things are really on the rise. And I think we're finding different ways of interacting with people. So that's been kind of interesting to see is the replacement of the human type of interaction with something that's more virtual.
Yeah, we've implemented a global work from home policy like many other companies have. And you've mentioned you've worked from home for years, and I've known you for years, and I've always known that
Yeah.
a majority of your career you've worked remote. Do you have any tips and tricks of kind of best practices, how to stay connected one-on-one, one to few, and then kind of large scale?
Yeah, working from home is something that a lot of people like to do, once in a while, but doing something over a long period of time is quite different. So work from home is something that I think many people can do for a day or two, but then when you think of extending it out over a long period of time, perhaps a week or even a month maybe, is quite different. And with that, I think you have to have the right tools and technology. So we've seen a big rise in the use of tools like we're using now with Zoom, WebEx, Slack, Microsoft Teams, via Spaces, things like that. There's a whole bunch of these different types of tools you can use. And that can help with the one-on-one interactions. I also think it can help with the one-to-few. So if you wanted to do a meeting with your team, for say, you could do that using something like the platform we're using. I think companies also need to think about the one-to-many. And by many, I mean possibly hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands, right? So a lot of customers aren't really sure what's going on with the companies they interact with. Yeah, you think of an airline or a bank or a hotel or even the place they work, they might have tens of thousands of employees, and they need to be able to keep in touch with them. I know platforms like Selligent actually help with that. I'll give you an example of a case where an airline didn't do such a good job with all the travel restrictions around the world. One person I was talking to, they actually had their flight canceled by the airline, but nobody from the airline actually told them that. The only way they knew was they went into the portal and saw that. So now, in addition to the right tools, you need to have the right mindsets. You need to have a good, clean working space at home. You need to have good lighting. If I look behind you, you've got some windows in the background. And so that can actually drown you out, depending if you're too close to the light or if it was brighter out there.
Drowned out. I have a light above me too.
Well, having a light above you helps. I actually have that light, a light directly above me. Tools like Zoom actually also have some cool, virtual backgrounds. So you can hide what's in the background if you don't have a good virtual workspace. And I'll give you an example of some. So if for instance, let's say I wanted to hide what was in the background, I could put up a picture of the Bay Bridge and pretend I'm in San Francisco. I could put a picture of the galaxy up and maybe pretend I'm the space shuttle. If I want to show off the fact that I'm friends with Eric Yon, the CEO of Zoom, I could do that too. So say hi to Eric. And but you can make the background whatever you want. There's the ZK Research logo. You can have moving backgrounds now, and so there's been a lot of work done in this area to make sure that you can change the look and feel of your work environment. You can have some fun with it too. I think one of the interesting.
So it sounds like digital communication is more critical than ever, and having the right work space, the right environment.
Yeah, and also, but mandating the use of it. So there's lots of ways to work digitally. There are some tools that are audio only, and I would certainly not use those, right? Because you want to make sure people are engaged. And the best way to do that is over video. And I think one of the harmful side effects, we talk about social distancing and things, and while that's important to do from a physical perspective, you don't want to do it in practicality all the time. You still want to have interaction with your coworkers. I think social isolation, in fact, is one of the big silent killers of productivity in the workplace. Once you start to feel isolated from your workforce, from the rest of your company, then your productivity actually goes down. So even somebody like you who manages people, maybe you do a mandatory, let's just get together at 4:00 and talk about our day. And maybe you keep it very lighthearted. Maybe perhaps the person with the coolest virtual background wins a prize, something like that to get people to use, to get people to use the tools. But it's very important to get people together. So I know I've seen on Facebook some people are doing virtual meetups. For singles peoples, they're having quarantinis, at drinking time, and so there's lots and lots of ways to manufacture that. So I think even the water cooler conversations that you would have, perhaps take 10 minutes out of the day to talk about what's happening in NFL free agency. That's a big topic right now. So gets people off their mind off of what's going on with Corona, but then also gets them thinking about something else and having some fun. And that's part of the beauty of video, is we can interact with each other like we were in the office. It's not quite the same, but we can get pretty close.